Over, it certainly did, and the Warriors with that win now move a half game ahead of the Denver Nuggets. They, of course, in this virtual tie coming in, the Nuggets lead the season series. Pardon me, the Warriors lead the season series with the Nuggets 2-1. They have one left. And in terms of the Thunder, they have just beaten the Indiana Pacers, so now they are one full game up on the San Antonio Spurs, a half game behind the Jazz, who are going to host the Lakers later on tonight. So as you know, every day that we do this, it changes in the West. And Dante, let's talk about Steve Kerr, was talking about the greatness of Kevin Durant. I'd like to hear you talk about that as well.
Well, Kevin is a unique guy in our league because he's so big and he can get to whatever he wants to on the floor, especially when he has his mid-range game going. Now, when he's isolated because he has so many shooters out there, you don't have help coming from many places. And as you can see right now, they put him in positions where he's most effective, the mid-post, coming off ball screens, and getting to whatever he wants to because he's bigger than most of his defenders. And once he has that going, you really can't stop him because his confidence is super high and he has a lot of spacing with Steph and Clay on the floor.
When you put him on the elbow, think how you must feel as a defender when he's 15 feet away from the basket, basically shooting a foul shot. He's 6'11" or 7 feet tall, and he turns and faces up on you. What do you do as a defender? Because he's elevating over the top, shooting a foul shot, basically.
Well, what you want to do is you want to crowd him and make him rush a little bit. You don't want him to be comfortable. You don't want him to pick you apart. He's 7 feet tall, so he can see over most of the defenders and make plays in a different array. And now that he has those step back going, those one-leg jumpers, like it's kind of impossible to guard him with one man out there right now.
Dante, go back to when you were allowed to be a little more physical in the league. That would have allowed you to do what you just talked about. Nowadays, it becomes increasingly more difficult because of basically the no hands, no touch rule on the defensive guy.
You're absolutely correct, because back then you could push him off his spots and you can push him out of the ability to be on the elbow, to be in a place where he's most comfortable at. Now you can't apply that much pressure, and then so now he gets wherever he wants to and he can operate in the zones that he's most comfortable in. And the rule changes and the way the game is played now, it's fitted for him and that team.
Czar, you've worked with Steve Kerr on TNT. You've coached against him. You've known Steve a long time. Are you buying what he's selling, that he didn't know the number of technical fouls that Draymond Green had coming into the game?
I think it's a nice way of him saying that Draymond and I stay in touch with each other all the time. We know exactly what the number is, and we know that if you get to this other number, you're not going to be around for the next game. So I think he put the responsibility on Draymond to be the mature NBA player that he is, and understanding who I am, where I am. The only thing I would caution him about is you don't know who you get in the first round of the playoffs. I'm talking about officiating team. Down the stretch here, the last 8-10 games of the year, that's close enough to the playoffs for those guys to remember. And why go in with a guy who's upset at you for something you may have said to him? Right now, try and maybe back off a little bit. Take every advantage you can.
Dante, you were a guy who played with edge. You were a guy that you played right up to the whistle, maybe a little bit beyond. So why are you laughing?
I knew you were coming with this. No, I agree. And he has a set of responsibilities for that team to keep them on edge at all points in times. They're so good that they could be complacent at times. And he teeters that line to keep them where they need to be, to keep that edge, to keep that fire in them, to keep them responsible in games like this where it could be a little bit of lag of energy. They could look at the Grizzlies and know that they're not playing for anything and not come into the game with the right attitude. And when it seems like he might black out or scream at an official, it's a way of getting to his teammates, which is different than most.
All right, so Draymond Green with 15 technical fouls, one more would be 16, and then an automatic one-game suspension. How about Mike Conley becoming the Grizzlies' all-time franchise leader in scoring? You coached there, you played there, Dante. You two were there with the Grizzlies together. Talk about that history made by Mike Conley.
I think it's a testament to how good a player he has been for that franchise. And they have a lot of great memories when Gasol and Conley were the main two guys, the playoff battles they had. But, from day one coming in, I didn't know how good Mike Conley was going to be in the NBA. I didn't have this in my mind, well, he's going to be a lock to be a star in this league. But then when you watch him come in the league, you see the things he does, and he's gotten better in certain areas. He certainly shoots the ball with range much better. He glides. He makes the game easy. When you watch him play, it's effortless for him.
I didn't think, and I don't think the Grizzlies thought when they drafted him he's going to be the cornerstone of their franchise. And that's a testament to him, the fact that he's worked that hard. He's provided that sense of leadership. He's been that consistent on a nightly basis. He's grown as the years have gone on. He's become a complete basketball player, but he's become a complete leader on and off the floor for the Memphis Grizzlies community.
And you think about it, up to the trade deadline, Marc Gasol sent to Toronto. Mike Conley's name was at least mentioned, speculated that he may be moved, but he is, in fact, the face of this franchise.
Let's give credit where credit's due. Whoever it was in the Memphis organization that saw this young man, evaluated his talents. Mike Conley, if I'm correct, had, at least for a day, the largest contract in NBA history when they signed him to that deal. So he fulfilled what they thought he was going to be, and they rewarded him for it.
And the same people that drafted Mike Conley drafted Kyle Lowry as well. They had both of them at one point in time. You're looking at two guards that have been great for their franchises. Kyle, wherever he's gone, he's an all-star in the Eastern Conference right now. Mike has been in a conference where there's more great guards, but in his own right, if he was probably in the Eastern Conference, he would be an all-star and he would be revered as the same way as some of the other guards in the Eastern Conference right now.
You know, I remember when he came out of Ohio State. Remember he played with Greg Oden there, and people said he can't shoot, he'll never be able to shoot. And to me, he's a case study for that's a bunch of garbage, okay? It depends on how much you work. Now, if you've got a jacked up release, that's one thing. But if you work at it, you can become a 38, 39, 40% three-point shooter. That's exactly what Mike Conley has done.
Do you think any of it comes from DNA, maybe passed down from the parents to the young man?
Yes.
And this guy understands, and he has people surrounding who understand what it takes to be great. Maybe that's part of it.
I think we have to give some credit to a guy that we both had a chance to I play with, and you coach Damon Stoudemire. When he first got there, Damon was on staff and kind of gave him the blueprint to be a steady point guard who can be relied on, can be a leader, could be a floor general. And he picked up where Damon left off because Damon was a great point guard for us, even when I played with him. Just the way he attacked the game from a professionalism standpoint and from his cerebral knowledge of the game and how to run a team.
Conley gets numbers, man, 22 and 8, had a couple of threes in this loss to Golden State.